Good afternoon, all of you. Welcome back to session number third. On the behalf of Yashwantrao Bhosle Polytechnic, I would like to welcome today's resource person, Mr. Mahesh Tendulkar sir. Welcome, sir. In today's session, Tendulkar sir discuss about the latest trend in concrete technology. First of all, I would like to introduce today's resource person. Mr. Mahesh Tendulkar sir is working as a director in Concrete Research and Engineering Service Private Limited, Mumbai, which offers the RMC plant audit as per the guidelines of a Quality Council of India, quality control and production of concrete, project Q, quality assurance, quality control plan, testing facility for building materials, training for engineers and supervisor. Sir under 28 years rich experience in the field of civil engineering, having the work for execution of an infrastructure project such as a thermal power plant, hydropower plant, construction of a Mumbai metro and road project. Sir had complete M.Tech in a construction technology and management from IIT Bombay. Now, I would like to request Mr. Mahesh Tendulkar sir to start the today's session about latest trend in concrete technology.
Thank you, sir. Please allow me to host the screen. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just can you see my screen? I'm not able to share my screen.
No, Mahesh. You are not a host.
Yeah. Please.
Sir, I will make you host.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
should
right.
now share this.
Right. Is it okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so good afternoon and welcome to all participants, mainly these professionals in the academics and some background of execution. So our today's topic is on latest trend in concrete technology. So considering these innovations in concrete technology program, which is being run for this throughout this week, almost we have on the last day, tomorrow is the last day. So what I'm planning to cover is what is the latest trend which is happening, especially in terms of material selection, because that is very, very important. Nowadays, all these professionals, infrastructure projects, they are talking about 100 years, 80 years, 120 years of service life. So for such projects, it is very important to select a proper material, proper cementitious material, and use of supplementary cementitious material like fly ash, GGBS is becoming very, very vital. So I would like to cover that first, and our traditional problem in Maharashtra is the use of crushed stone sand, which is a replacement for this natural sand, which is becoming again crucial when we go for this high performance concrete. Of course, chemical admixtures, they are again playing vital roles. Without these three materials, we cannot perform this, have this concrete, which can have the design service life of 100 plus years. And not only this, after this material, we have to select a proper concrete making arrangement. It can be site mix, it can be commercial RMC plants. So there are very new plants available nowadays which can be tailor made. So few points I would like to touch upon that. And last and not the least is the handling concrete at site. No way, no matter how best concrete material you select, how best world-class plant you select. If it is not handled properly, concrete is not handled properly at site. So we are going back to the same point where we can't talk about the durability and service life. So these are the key points which I would like to cover in next 1.5 hour, and last 5 minutes we can have some discussion. So before going in the detail, I would like to know what is the latest trend, but what is the past and what is the present and what is going to future. This is very interesting to know how this scenario is changing. So like earlier in past, nobody was specifying the requirement of our structure, concrete. We were having only 33 grade cement was available. Aggregate was ample available. We have good choice. And surprisingly, all mixes were 1-2-4, 1-2-4, 100-3 concrete. It is a volumetric mix, hand mix, site mix, and that we have covered. And now in the present stage where we are today, so we talk about now strength of concrete, M40, M60, or sometimes M80 also. We have very good cement. Cement industry has a revolution in our country. Latest plants available, but everything is not going in good way, so we are now having the problem with the scarcity of aggregates. So we don't have ample choice. We have to select the proper aggregates from the available sources. So that earlier which was option was available, now we don't have that. Admixtures are coming in the pictures. Without admixtures now we can't think of producing concrete. Everybody is talking about mixed design at the strength at 28 days. Ready-mix plants are the latest technology in last 15 to 20 years in our country. But what will happen in future? That is very interesting, and it has already started. So again, we are now going back to the performance-based concrete. So it is not a what is the performance? So durability of structure, service life of structure. So we are going that we don't know what is the grade of concrete, but we want structure should withstand for 100 years, 80 years. So we are going to the durability of structure, and for that we have to perform or use this supplementary cementitious material aggregates. We are now producing crushed stone sand. So aggregates, it is like a natural sand is nowhere. It is a band almost in full Maharashtra, even in some other states. So we have tailor-made admixture. So we have to specify our requirement, and then admixture company will no, formulate admixture to suit our requirement. So everything is becoming now performance based. Strength we don't talk about 20 days. Sometimes my one shutter we want 24 hours strength, 3 days strength, 7 days strength, 14 days strength, stressing strength, 56 days strength. So it is a performance based mix designs are now required. So 20 days strength was only a criteria to fulfill the designer's requirement, but now we want strength at various age to fulfill the execution stage. In precast industry, it is becoming more vital and more crucial. Hand mix RMC plant is there, so we have RMC mix, site mix. The new thing is that dedicated RMC plants are now coming in the picture. So everything is coming, but still a little bit worry as a professional. I feel that our code should ban this hand mix concrete, which is not yet done. Our code still allows hand mix concrete. It is very, very pity that we can't have good concrete with the durable structure, hand mix, and still that should go in future. So what about apart from material? So quality control, nobody was talking about quality control in past, but at that time workmanship, supervision, performance of structure was excellent. So many times, these people have doubt. We are having the structure built in British era standing still in good condition, whereas structures built in latest 15 years, 20 years are coming down. So of course there are different aspects are changing because we don't have good workmanship nowadays. Laborers are not available. Good supervisors, foremen are like becoming a community which is absconding from the site. Nobody knows what is a foreman. Then tube test is now taken over by this NDT. So how far that NDT is to be believed? So again, that is a big question mark. So this is what it is changing. But now what will happen in future? Not only cube test, there will be a lot of durability test will be specified. Because if you need to know the structure, our main culprit in the durability of structure will be the corrosion of reinforcement. Airborne chlorides, water-based chloride, concrete chlorides, inbuilt chlorides. So all we have to mitigate the corrosion aspect. So lot of tests for durability will come in the picture. Water permeability will come in the picture, or chloride penetration, ion. So there are different tests will come. Of course, very new concept which will come will be the maturity index. So this will be like to know the what is the strength of concrete, of in situ concrete, by placing the sensors. So in one side we are doing lot of innovation, modifications in materials, concrete production, but our main worry is going to remain is workmanship. Our training to these workers, training to supervisors. So that will be the very, very crucial when we talk about this durable structures. So whatever we talk about latest trend, we should equally talk about the training for the ground force, which is very, very important in durable structures. So just I always say it is like a KYC is important. So this KYC word is slightly different in our case. Our KYC is know your concrete. So one must know our concrete at the plastic stage. When concrete is green, concrete is not yet set. It has a life of about 3 hours to 5 hours. So we must know our properties of concrete in the plastic stage. At the same time, we should know about the properties of concrete in the hardened stage. Again, that is a crucial. Cracking is a problem. Microstructure, we must know what is the microstructure of our concrete. So this is very important when we talk about the durability or future. So why concrete? Because if you see, concrete has a great future. I always say in the industry, civil engineering is the best profession, and which we have experienced in last 1 year of this lockdown. Everybody can work from home, but we can't work from home. We have to be there at site, and then only we can have this. So any structure, whether it's a metro, infrastructure, airport, bridges, dams, of course, all these are apart from residential. Everywhere the core remains is the concrete. So one must know concrete in a very, very methodic way and a scientific way. So that is the reason understanding concrete for civil engineering is very important. I still remember in our college days when we have done our graduation about 30 years back, we were having this concrete technology as a specialized subject or optional subject. But I don't think any civil engineer, he must know concrete, because majority of his life he has to deal with concrete. So concrete is very crucial as far as any latest development is concerned. So just one look about cement and concrete and its importance. So if you see here, it is the second largest community consumption of cement and concrete after the water. This is one of the survey done in the sector-wise consumption of cement. Of course, 3 years back or 2 to 3 years back, it was saying that 64% of our cement is consumed in housing sector, 17 in infrastructure, 13% in the industry, institution and commercial, and 6% in the industries. Of course, nowadays, after growth of infrastructure largely, that 17%, I must be sure it must have crossed to 20%, must be 22, 23%. So India is producing almost 500 million ton installed capacity of cement. This is very, very interesting statistics. While giving this presentation to one of the MBA college, I just made this slide, and I was also surprised. Oh, these are the what commercials. We never thought about commercials. So this is a 500 million ton is our cement installed capacity. Suppose we assume that our cement plants are running at say 75% of efficiency, which is quite normal. 80% is their normal efficiency. So still we are producing 375 million ton of cement every year. We can assume 60% is going in concrete. So around 225 million ton cement is used in India for producing concrete. Roughly, I have taken about 8 bags per cubic meter consumption. So it is around 400 kg per cubic meter cement content. Now you will be shocked. So we are producing concrete worth 562 million cubic meter concrete, almost 1.5 million cubic meter per day. And if you convert in the cost with the nominal cost of 4,500, so you will get surprised. We are dealing with the economy of about 675 crores per day. And how much importance we give for the development of our knowledge in concrete? Hardly anything. So this is very, very PT. We should have a lot of knowledge and about this concrete. And this is what we are doing. So this is a normal. I am showing you. I'm not showing you any project or any commercial site. I am showing you by and large. I hope this video is slightly clear. So this is a concrete production in more or less all district places in our country. So who is the quality control engineer? The person who is driving this mixer. So we can't drive anything about this concrete, and this is a M20 grade concrete, one slab casting in one of the district place in Maharashtra, in Nasik. And you can see this concrete is poured in the slab, and being a civil engineer, there was a curiosity, what will be the strength of this concrete? So without doing any adjustment, we have taken these cubes for testing the concrete. And you will surprised to know the strength of concrete was 90% in 7 days, and 28 days is about 280 kg. So more than 25 MPa strength. So we get confused. So what we can conclude from this, whether such kind of workmanship is good or bad, still we say it is bad, but still it is giving results. So here we come to the first principle of durability, that concrete is not only strength, durability of structure is equally important. This is similar to this sumo wrestlers. So they have very good weight. They earn a good amount of money in the sumo wrestling, but unfortunately their lifespan is very small. So we have to change our focus of concrete from strength to durability, and that is the first step for achieving any sustainable concrete structure. Now, how we have changed our concrete mixing plants? Earlier we were having these 7x10 mixers, then we have these way batching arrangements. Lot of innovation is being done in this RMC plant. But as I said earlier, this is what we see in the cities, like big cities like Mumbai, and now even the B class cities or second tier cities also we have RMC plant. But if we still go to even other B class tier cities, what we find is wherever we cast these columns, we are still doing this traditional concrete of hand mixed concrete. So we are still not improved. And like this is one of the site again in district of Maharashtra. Again, it is not a big city, it is a small city like Satara. Now you can see, if concrete is produced, we talk a lot about durability, water cement ratio, and if concrete is produced at site by this kind, and then next day still these columns are having a good shape, still there is a complaint that edges are being broken. So what I mean to say, any column, and again column is the main compression member of our structure. And not only this small watchman's cabin, the whole structure, G+7 structure building is standing by such kind of column construction. They might be using RMC for this construction for slab, but still column casting, which is the main member, we are still neglected. So we have to change all this practice, and this is what I always like this quote of Mr. Abraham Lincoln. He says that if we have 6 hours to chop down the tree, I will spend first 4 hours on sharpening the axe. And this is where we civil engineers, especially at site, fail. We never plan. So we were having our laboratory, and many times people used to come for getting the mix design, and they say we want concrete mix design for particular grade. And when they want, they say it was like tomorrow we want to cast the slab, tomorrow we want to cast the structure. So we don't plan. So first thing which is very important is we must plan all things well in advance. So what we call the first thing is the planning stage of our structure, and then we go if everything is ready. And this I have personally experienced in this first Mumbai Metro project in Mumbai. We were doing planning for almost 9 months, more than 9 months. Still, we can achieve about 70% planning at the ground. So we have to change our some strategies at the last moment because of the unforeseen circumstances at site. But still, planning is very important, which is very, very poor in our case. And once we are thorough in planning, so we can go to the execution stage with a great confidence, and we can have definitely good structures. So of course, when we talk about this latest trend about this concrete, durability of concrete, as I already said, our first point is we have to arrest the corrosion of reinforcement bars. Of course, that is itself is a big subject. So I'm not going to cover anything about corrosion, but as a concrete, we have to protect our concrete from this. Steel should be well protected by concrete. Then only our concrete is protecting the steel from lot of pollutants from environment like carbon dioxide, oxygen, sulfate, chloride. So this is how we have to protect our concrete, protect our steel, which is going to take the major tension of our structure. So we are taking only the compression from the concrete point of view. So any durable structure, it needs planning and designing right from the structural design and detailing. Many times we find that while designing the structure, optimizing the cost, sections are made so thin, and after placing the reinforcement is hardly anything to put place to put concrete and vibrate it. So such structures are very good on drawing board, but they are very poor when we execute at site. So we have to design the proper structures in the drawing which can be executable. So I still remember we were having the concept of shop drawing, which is I learned from this foreign consultant. So whenever we get any RCC drawing, we have to make the shop drawing. So shop drawing is like nothing but we have to understand the concept, place the bar, and find whether there is a sufficient space is there for placing the concrete, compacting the concrete. Then whether we want 10 down aggregate in concrete or 20 down, whether we want self-compacting concrete or high flow concrete. So all these things are to be done at shop drawing before going in the field. Then second comes the material selection. Yes, that is very, very important, and we are now changing. Then mix proportion, mix design, which is itself is a big subject, and we have to no, even our Indian codes are now well elaborated code for this mix design. And last but not least is all these operations of production of concrete, right up to batching, mixing, up to curing, that is very important. So if you don't have proper curing, definitely the whole exercise is waste. So I always, whenever there is a high performance concrete, I always talk that first let us understand basics of concrete. Unless we understand basics of concrete, we can't go to the high performance concrete. So it is like without graduation, we can't go to the post graduation. So this is a very basic thing I say. And when we talk about this durability, now again our code is under revision. There are a lot of durability codes are available from the international, and our code at present is giving the environmental exposure condition. Earlier there were 3, nowadays there are 5 conditions: mild, moderate, severe, very severe, and extreme. So Those along the coastal area, they have no choice but to select from severe or very severe condition. Extreme is like a tidal zone concrete where all these sealing projects are happening. So we're alternating wetting and drying by the tidal action, sewage treatment plant, lot of things. So one must design what is their exposure condition. We don't have to bargain in this. So if we say yes, if it is a severe, we have to follow the severe code, and then according to that code, we have to design our concrete right from the planning stage or the designing stage. So forget about this RCC. I'm just giving one example. So if it is along the coastal area, so I think today our college is also from this coastal area. So coastal area, one should not design any concrete less than M30. Code is giving the guideline that for severe condition, our minimum grade of concrete of RCC should be minimum 30 and PCC is 20. But still hardly any normal bungalow construction, building construction, they are following. They are still in the era of M15 and 20, 20 and 25, but still we are not following this code and following this guideline. Again, minimum cement content is required, cementatious content is required to take care of proper hydration of concrete within the concrete mass. Not only that, that will give some alkalinity to the concrete. So pH value of concrete should be around 12.5 to 13, 13.5. So when the concrete is alkaline in nature, so obviously it will protect any carbon dioxide and it will have proper arrest against carbon dioxide. So it will protect steel. So as long as this pH value is more than 10.5 or 11, so it is like a real protection to the reinforcement bar. The moment this pH value of concrete falls down below 10, 10.5, then steel within the mass of concrete will start corrosion. And there our problem will start and multifolds if we don't take proper precautions. So coming back to our say, what are the latest trend means? What are the cement and cement supplementary cementitious material? We talk about that first. Now we always say cement is engineer's choice. So this is what we see in a lot of branding, advertising. But really, whenever we go to the site, whenever we go to the field, the person executing the structure has very few say to select the proper cement for his structure. I will just explain this why. For common man, they always believing in advertising and branding. So that is the reason cement companies are spending handsome amount of budget for advertising. A lot of cricket matches, boundaries, everywhere see this branding by cement companies, hoardings. So one of such a bag says that junk ki no entry. So it is a rust-proof cement. But practically speaking, cement has nothing to do with corrosion. Basically, concrete should be proper and concrete will protect this corrosion. But now recently I understood that all such things, these punch lines on cement bags will be now banned by our ICE code, which is a rightly good step. So cement is cement. How you make concrete, that is the skill of an engineer. Then I come to one very, of course, a good quality cement, Imami cement. So earlier, one brand is very famous in cosmetics. Now they have the cement. So obviously, again, so this is how a common man is attracted by branding and advertising. When we come to this builder segment, or the owner are taking the decision, projects, purchase officers are taking the decision, and how they take the decision. We have very simple logic. Take the quotation, whichever is the cheap is the best. So we compare the cost. We compare the cost of bag, whether it is 300 or 320 rupees per bag, cost per metric ton, and then we select the best cement. Whenever we are talking about, and it is happening in big projects nowadays, not only projects, even the developers have started, we never talk about the cost of cement per bag. So we convert that into cost per cubic meter. That means if particular X brand is having say Y cement content, other brand will have Y plus or Y minus cement content. So we should be ready with the concrete mix design, with the new cement brand, with the properties of new cement, and then we arrive how much cement is required for that particular concrete, and then we decide what is the cost per cubic meter. So it may happen that cement per bag is 5 rupees cheaper, but we may have to put 30-40 kg per cubic meter extra cement. So this is where we are landing in the trouble. So we have to compare cement per cubic meter. Not only cement, I will suggest not only cement, we can compare admixture based on their dosage. So everything should be compared per cubic meter after achieving the performance of concrete, performance that particular material in concrete. Then sometimes we see that sulfate resisting cement is recommended when sulfate attack is there. Yes, it is a good cement, but there is a cautious. The latest study has proved that if sulfate and chloride both are present, SRC cement is the worst cement, and sometimes better than that is the OPC. So not only achieving, so if sulfate is there, sulfate is no, we have to study the whole atmosphere around the concrete. And if sulfate chloride both are present, we we should go with slag cement, flash based cement, blending cement at site, OPC with GGBS. So lot of options are available and that should be done. So it is like we have to uh, inspect the patient and then give the medicine. So inspect the site and then decide what kind of cement, what kind of concrete should be having the properties, and that can be selected. This is again, as I said, our IS code has revised in 2 years back, IS mixed design IS code 10262. So they have given a good graph about this relation between water cement ratio and compressive strength. Earlier there was some clarification which was not given in the code, but nowadays it is quite commonly it is given in this code. So if you see here, I want to highlight that they have given 3 curves of cement, 1, 2, 3. Ideally, 3 curve, third curve, 3 is for 53 grade, 2 is for 43 grade, 1 is for 33 grade. But practically in our country, there is no 33 grade, so we should deal with only 2 curves. And what code says that in absence of actual strength, the notes in the code, this table or figure, they say in absence of data of actual 20-day strength of cement, curve 1 is for 33, 2 is for 43, and 3 is for 53. And not only that, it says that if we are using blended cement, because these curves are meant for OPC cement. So they say if these curves are, if you want to use blended cement like PPC or PSC, then we can use the actual strength of cement, or if actual cement is strength is not available, refer the curve number 2. So code has given this guideline very clearly. In case of blended cement, we can use this at least 43 grade cement or actual cement strength, which is we get it from the manufacturer. So this relation is available, and this code is, I always say, this is like after IS 456, this is the second Bible of our concrete mix design code. Then whenever we are using this blend, this supplementary cementitious material. Now, how this works, I'm going to just explain in some 2-3 slides. So, most common supplementary cementitious material in our country is the fly ash. See, there are two aspects why it is common, because obviously in our country, whichever is very cheap is easily marketable. So, fly ash is almost, I will say, 1/4 or 1/3 of cement cost. So there are, of course, there's a technically good product. So fly ash has better durability. It reduces the permeability of concrete. It has a great resistance to chemical attack. And not only fly, there are other supplementary cementitious like GGBS is there, microsilica is there, ultrafine fly ash is there, or ultrafine GGBS is there. So fly ash is one of the best material amongst these because it has the spherical shape. And whenever there is a spherical shape, it will give better cohesiveness, and rheology of concrete will be better in case of fly ash based concrete. Now, what is the beauty of this fly ash? Now, this fly ash, I'm going to show you this chemical composition in the next slide. But before that, The beauty of this fly ash is this is normal OPC hydration process. So water reacts with OPC or silicates from the OPC and it forms calcium silicate hydrate and calcium hydroxide. So out of that, calcium silicate hydrate is giving the strength. Calcium hydroxide or Portlandite, they are the weak crystalline structure, so they are not that much desirable in concrete as far as strength and durability is concerned. So what is happening? This fly ash will interact with or react with this calcium hydroxide to again produce calcium silicate hydrate. So that means unwanted calcium hydroxide will be converted into calcium silicate hydrate and thereby it is called as a secondary hydration process. See, fly ash based concrete will always give comparatively less strength in the initial stage as compared to OPC concrete. Because first OPC will produce calcium hydroxide and that calcium hydroxide is going to react with fly ash. So till calcium hydroxide is generated, fly ash is inactive in concrete. So that is the reason fly ash based concrete is good. But if it is early strength concrete, we have to design this concrete as per our parameters and then use it. And of course, this is a process which is an ongoing process and it will continue over the period of years till there is a moisture or water in concrete. So generally they say if you compare 56 and 90 days strength of concrete of fly ash based cement, it will be almost 15 to 20% higher than OPC concrete. Now, these are the different cementitious material, supplementary cementitious material. Say first is OPC. So these are the oxides in OPC. So obviously lime is maximum say 65, silica is 20. Second supplementary cementitious is GGBS. It has got both cementation means silica as well as calcium oxide. So this is a like secondary as well as primary hydration. So there is a lime along with silica. Fly ash, if you see, it has hardly any lime, but it has very rich in silica. So fly ash is a purely supplementary cementitious material. But of course, there are some coal which produce, we call it as a C-class fly ash. Uh, there are some coals from the foreign company, imported coals. So they have about 20% lime and 35%. So they are also like in between GGBS and fly ash. And rest, which are the high rich in silica oxide, like silica fume, Ricer's ash, bagasse ash. So they are having the high silica and they are generally preferred in high grade concrete of 50, 55 onwards grade of concrete. So this is how it says that, and this is the same hydration process which you have seen earlier in the chemistry form. Here it is mentioned C3S and C2S both are giving calcium silicate hydrate and calcium hydroxide, and this calcium silicate hydrate or calcium hydroxide will react with reactive silica from the supplementary cementitious material to give calcium silicate hydrate. So this is how it is beneficial to improve the performance concrete, mainly because of the I will say impermeability or improving impermeability of concrete, reducing the water permeability of concrete, or I can say reduce the chloride penetration ion of concrete. So a lot of things can be tested when we test for this durability test. And if you see these ternary diagrams with calcium oxide, silica oxide, and aluminum oxide, OPC is having the maximum calcium oxide. And cementitious, this GG base is having cementitious properties, mainly cementitious. But if you see cementitious and pozzolanic both, it is like a C-class fly ash, which we have seen in the earlier slide. Whereas highly pozzolanic will be the material having the high silica content like microsilica. And normal pozzolanic will be the pulveric fly ash like F-class fly ash, so which is a normal fly ash. So they are the pozzolanic activity. So these are of Rayleigh classification of SCM. So based on our, we see whenever we are doing this testing for durability, we never test for 28 days. It can be tested for 56 or 90 days. So all these things we have to see the latter age gain, strength as well as properties of durability. So whenever we talk about the service life of a building, we are not going to construct the complete building within a span of 2 months or 3 months or 1 month. So that is the reason we are now changing the focus of all tests from 28 days to higher age strength for 56 or 90 days strength. This is very interesting when we talk about this high grade concrete. It is called as a inter-transition zone or ITZ. So here, like along with the aggregate, so this is like a hydrated product of cement. So they form, these are the hydrated product cement and this is the aggregate. So along the aggregate, the weak calcium hydroxide will be accumulated in this weak zone. So that's why whenever we test our concrete in cube test, we always find that there is a failure of bond strength. This failure is mainly because of accumulation of calcium hydroxide in this transition zone. So whenever we talk about this high performance concrete, high grade concrete, we have to improve the zone. This ITZ need to be improved by reducing this calcium hydroxide and converting this calcium hydroxide into calcium silicate hydrate. So if you see the zones, this zone is also not a small zone. Out of this 20 to after 20 to 30% of paste, this is around 6 to 8% of zone is an interface zone or an inter-transition zone. So these need to be improved when we want to test it for high performance concrete. Then we come to the next material, or rather the last and important material, that is the chemical admixture. Now chemical admixture has mainly two properties. One is to increase the workability so that concrete can be placed easily. So earlier we used to concrete column 75 mm slump, 80 mm, 100 mm slump, but now we want flowable concrete. So these effect of admixture, they will increase the workability of concrete so that concrete can be transported in transit mixer for longer distance. Also, when we talk about the mass concreting, so when we are doing this mass concreting, we have to delay the setting of concrete. So it is called as a, in avoiding the cold joint, we require the retarding effect. So two main effects of concrete, one is this plasticizing effect and second is the retarding effect. Of course, we require more plasticizing effect and less retarding effect, but in case of mass foundation, we require slightly more retarding effect. So if you see all these admixtures, they are now termed as super plasticizing retarders. So instead of having two different admixtures, they have their own experience and own formulation. So they add desired dosage of retarders in plasticizer and give it to us for users. So these are the two main benefits. And of course, performance of admixture is one part. Second is the base of admixture. Again, it is like what is the base which is having this performance is giving. So that base which was earlier was a SNF, that is sulfonated naphthalene formaldehyde, that was very common in earlier days. But after using this crushed sand or high grade concrete where we require more water reduction, the most popular or the trending admixtures are PCE or polycarboxylic ether. They are the latest admixtures. And of course, SNF dose is quite high, 1.2, 1.4 or up to 1.5%. PC admixture dose in concrete will be say 0.4, 0.6 or 0.9% of cementitious material. Now, whenever about this using this admixture, I will always recommend to study the literature of that particular admixture, study their technical data sheet, study their manufacturing test certificate, and conduct a trial before conducting or before using this material in concrete. This is very interesting product which I came in contact. It was a dose of 50 grams per bag of cement. Means whenever they are doing concreting, they say for waterproofing you add this one pouch, which is a 50 gram, and again adding 50 gram in this was very difficult. So half of the powder was remaining in packet, and then they say what is happening. So when I read it particularly, their instruction was they say maintain proportion of mix as per standard and maintain water cement ratio to 0.4. See, obviously 0.4 water cement ratio itself is a good concrete. And this is being used by the normal site mixed concrete, where maintaining 0.4 water cement ratio is very, very difficult. So always don't believe if somebody is using, I should use it. No, first you experience it, study it. We are engineers, we are the professionals. Study the technical performance and then conduct the trial and then only use it. Now, before going further, this very simple thing. What is the difference between SNF and PCE? I just want to highlight this with this one slide. Now, these admixtures are doing magic only based on the physical properties. Suppose in normal concrete, without any admixture, because of the flocculation, so cement is having the equally charge, so they have equal positive and negative charge. So what happens, they flocculate and they block the water, they entrap the water which was supposed to be available for workability of concrete. But it is not happening. Even though we have added this water in concrete, practically that water is not free for available for concrete, is available for workability. So when we add admixture, admixtures give equal negative charge on the particles of cement. So because of that, they repel each other and we get extra water for available for workability. Now, how this charge is applied and the cement particles are repelling and how much water is available extra, that is the base of admixture. Normal admixture like SNF, they may perform 10%, 15% water can be made available, which was entrap water. But nowadays with PC admixture, we can go even 25, 30%. Even somebody told that they have the product which can release 40% of water. So whenever we are going with the low water cement ratio, say 0.4 or 0.35, 0.32, even sometimes 0.25, 0.22 also. So we require special kind of material admixture which has the highest dispersion properties and giving the release of entrap water in concrete. And of course, will the slump is increased. Will not go in detail how it works. I can share you this presentation. You can go through it later. Then after cement, cementatious, and admixture, the next and which is the major community in our concrete is the aggregate. So if you see, aggregate forms 3/4 of the material, almost 70% of volume of concrete is aggregate. But we never talk about aggregate. The reason is they are cheaper than cement, cheaper than other products. But when we are talking about high grade concrete, high performance concrete, aggregates are becoming very, very crucial. If you closely monitor the failure of concrete, of high grade concrete block or cube, you will find there are sometimes failure is through aggregate. It is not a bond failure, it is the aggregate failure. So we have to select the proper aggregate, particularly in high grade concrete, say 50, 60 onwards. Selection of aggregate is very important. And not only selection, I will suggest, rather I insist that one must visit the crusher and understand the manufacturing process and confirm that whether a quality of aggregate produced there is up to our required parameters. So these are very common aggregates. So nowadays, fine aggregates are also crushed. Coarse aggregates are also VSI and VSI aggregate, cubical aggregate, single size aggregate. I'm going to come to that slide in the next slide. And that's why I always say if somebody is working on the project, they should work like this is one of the mega project of concrete road project. It was a 100-kilometer long road project, and surprisingly, crusher was not installed, but all other equipments were ready. Batching plant was ready, RNC plant, transit mixer, placer boom, but crusher, which is the heart of the project, was not ready, and the whole project get delayed by 3 months. Just to give the idea about, and I will again repeat, every professional should visit the crusher. If there are many faculties, I will suggest instead of along with this all site team, we must take the students to visit the crushers also. That will be very important. Oh, sorry. I just want to give you one glimpse about a crusher. This is generally in our country, the latest crushers, they are called as a 3-stage crushers. So first stage is a primary crusher, which was there earlier also. It is a jaw crusher. So purpose of this jaw crusher, that will split the big boulders into smaller size of rock of 60 mm or 80 mm, and then it will be fed to the crushing equipment. So this is a main crusher which we call as a cone crusher. So here aggregate will be crushed. See, there are two parameters. One is the jaw crusher has brought down the aggregate size, so that proper aggregate size will be fed to this cone crusher. And cone crusher is only breaking the aggregate to the smaller size. Only breaking. See, mark the word breaking or reducing the aggregate size. But what we want in high performance concrete is the shaping of aggregate. So VSI is the tool. Here I will just want to highlight one thing. Here I will just, this is a screen which is a vibratory screen. So again, this is very important to get single size aggregate. So here you can see this is the output of this cone crusher. So this is not non-VSI crusher. So non-VSI aggregate. So they have all sort of things. They can get non-VSI aggregate, and after this crusher, the next feed goes to this next crusher stage. Again, it is a feeding for the VSI crusher, and if you see here, now this will be feeding to this VSI crusher. So this VSI is a shaping tool, and this will produce the proper aggregate from where we get single size cubical aggregate, which is desirable for high performance concrete. So I am sure that everybody must understand the process from where we are getting aggregates and whether aggregates are being produced by proper process of manufacturing. So this is the old way crusher. Now, as I said, these are the new crusher, cone crusher, vibratory screen. And if you see, flaky and cubical aggregates are being produced from the jaw and cone crusher. When they are taken to VSI, we get proper cubical shape. If we have proper screen like vibratory and rotary screen, vibratory screen, here you can see bottom one is a vibratory screen. You can see the mesh. It is a wire mesh and square, whereas these are the old mesh, which are this is a rotary screen and they are circular. So that is the reason if you compare the aggregates from the such kind of VSI with the vibratory screen, we get almost 85-90% purely passing from particular size, 10 or 20 mm. Earlier we are not getting it, but nowadays I have seen many sites, many places, even C-class cities in our Maharashtra, we are having such kind of crusher. So this is very important when we talk about this crusher. And last two point which I have highlighted is very important, which is the latest development in last maybe 5 years or 2-3 years. It is a wash sand air classified sand. This is very important, especially for high grade concrete, say 60-70 onwards. So what is happening? As we know that there is a limit of 75 micron silt. So it is a wash silt in our crushed stone sand. So that is very difficult to control that in the normal crusher. But what happens when we go with a higher grade concrete, that will absorb lot of water and water demand will increase. Admixture will not perform. So lot of problem will come if we cannot control this 75 micron silt in our concrete. But when we go for this wash sand or air classified sand, this is a technology, they suck this 75 micron and bring down from 15% to 5% or less than 5%. So this is a must product when we go for the high grade and high performance concrete. So just I want to again, there are imported plants. This is one of the Indian plants. If small cities like near Kolhapur, I have seen. So I will show you the system. Here what happens, this is a suction. Right hand side of this yellow part is a suction. This is a normal sand making machine. So when this, I will show this video also. So when they are sucking, so what happens when they produce this sand, they suck the fines and we get a good sand without any fines or with a reduced fine. Otherwise, we always get high fines, high 75 micron seed in our crushed stone sand. So this is the best technology available. This is again the manufacturing of this plant was again from Maharashtra, somewhere from Satara. So their indigenous plants are also available, and very soon, and surprisingly, many users, construction site, they are not aware that such kind of plants are installed in their nearby area. So that is the reason I again repeating this. We must visit a crusher and understand the manufacturing process. This is here the comparison is given between the manufactured sand and the crushed stone sand or the grit. Even this is a grit is non-VSI. So most important factor is the third one. So there is a proper control in this 75 micron size, whereas there is no control and there is a lot of variation. So it is very difficult to produce consistent concrete with uncontrolled crushed stone sand. Now we come to the next point, that is the RMC plants. So we have all latest plants. So all these RMC plants are very good. Their equipments, capacity wise, they are excellent. They can produce the concrete up to 3 cubic meter in one batch. So you just imagine getting production of 90 to 100 cubic meter per hour, targeting big pours of 1000, 2000 cubic meter in one go is not a big challenge nowadays. Earlier it was, I still remember our first concrete pour of 230 cubic meter. We were doing it for almost 20 hours. So that was a big challenge. But nowadays, capacity wise, we are sure. Quality wise, again, it is the best plant. We have a good system. Hardly error of 1% in batching error in cement or 3% in aggregate. And most important is the mixers which they use. They are beyond compare. So this is how I want to show you one clip where this twin shaft mixer is being used. You can see this is a concrete of 1 cubic meter being mixed in this twin shaft mixer. These are the paddles. 1 cubic meter mixed in 1 second. So like that, bigger capacity will have 3 cubic meter. And this is a 3-dimensional mixing. So concrete mixing of low water cement ratio, effective admixture, you can see. This is for demonstration, we have done this. And you can see now after addition of admixture, again it will perform in a much better way. So these are the latest mixers which are available, twin shaft mixers. And they are performing excellent and producing concrete of good, and they are easily available. Of course, import mixers are imported, but plants are available in our country. Then for particular project, we are looking for dust control, because nowadays cities like Mumbai, it is very difficult to survive because we have to take care of nearby residents. If it is an infrastructure project, nobody is staying, but here we have to take the environment pollution control. So not only cement in silo, you can see your aggregates are also stored in these small, you can call it as a bin or silo on the above, and they are being loaded from this bucket elevator. These are such plants, a couple of plants are available in Mumbai. You can't imagine concrete is being produced in the plant, but we don't feel like we are standing near that plant. So, and again, it's a big hospital area where adjoining people are staying. So these are the latest RMC plants which are taking care of environment also. Of course, there are some plants which can be used for direct pumping. A small site where resident building is there. So capacity is of course not that great, 18 cubic meter per hour. So it can produce 10 to 12. So every day we can produce 150 cubic meter in the 10-hour shift. So they can directly pump. You can see here, there are no silos here. You can see screw conveyors are going in the godown, and from there bag will be fed to the screw conveyor. Of course, there are tailor-made plants. Again, this plant is along with the twin shaft mixer. So this again, it can produce about 18 cubic meter per hour, and these are very portable plants. So basically, if you see, it is like a one small container. So this plant comes in one container. I can show you one here. This is basically used for road project. You can see this is a plant. and it can be towed by the tractor. So it is such a lightweight. When you have this wheel, it can be towed by the tractor, and here there are 3 to 4 bins can be given. Aggregate will be loaded here and then fed to this pin shaft mixer over here. Here now aggregate is being loaded. So tailor-made plants are also available, and now we can have very good quality control, and we can produce good concrete for under control concrete for various sites. Of course, this plant I want to highlight only to show that if there is space constraint, it can be taken care by the special kind of conveyor belt. This is one area where there was a horizontal wise there. See, this is such a steep conveyor belt, very difficult. Sometimes you can't take this aggregate from this steep conveyor belt. So here, if you see, this is a special conveyor belt in this plant, and now it is taking all these aggregate in the mixer. So we have a lot of engineering in mechanical division which can support our concrete production in these RMC plants. So all these latest plants, so whatever you want, you give the problem, you will get the solution. So this is what tailor-made plants, tailor-made solutions are available for all sort of plants. Now my always main question or main worry for construction site is RMC used for casting of column. It's a big question even in cities like Mumbai. The reason is we always want to get mechanized. We want quality, but at a cost of cheap cost. Now here I want to show highlight one case where one of the building having the transfer girder at I think 4th or 5th, 7th level. So that transfer girder column, and how this column was concrete was produced. So when this concrete was coming at site, concrete quantity was less than say 20 cubic meter for one column. So they have placed this concrete not in the pump because the pumping will be costly. So they have taken this concrete in the wheelbarrow. Just imagine concrete coming in 6 cubic meter transit mixer of 60 grade concrete, which has a shelf life according to me is 3 to 4 hours. It is taken in wheelbarrow, and then this wheelbarrow will be taken at a desired location. So this is how I know this is like I think last year just I skipped that. So this is how this is taken in the wheelbarrow, and this wheelbarrow will go to the site of 7th floor by hoist. So this is now going in the hoist wheelbarrow. So this is how we are transporting the concrete coming from the mechanical way, and now you can see this wheelbarrow is going to site. So obviously such transit mixers cannot be unloaded within 3 hours, which is a very less than 3 hours, so which is a very large time. So by that time our concrete will get problem, and then the whole problem, when we tested the concrete, we took the core from that particular slab, because obviously if there is a drop in workability, transit mixer driver will not tell you, he will simply add water and unload the concrete. But of course, whenever we are taking the cube, we take the cube from the initial load. So obviously we will never point out this mistake, but consultant was keen to know the in situ strength. So we have taken the cube, and then we found that the cube strength was almost 18 to 20 MPa lower than the desired strength. Then the whole retrofitting of column was required to be done. So whenever we are doing RMC, be cautious, use the complete system. Don't use the half-phase system. If you are taking the concrete transit mixer, it has to be pumped and placed in the position as early as possible. Then last point of this topic, today's topic, or the rather second last topic I want to highlight, the laboratory. All these developers, all these constructing agencies, they are very much conducive. I will say they are very much conducive in spending amount in the site laboratory. You can see this is a G+22 tower. Each tower flat will cost not less than 2.5 to 3 crores, And where is the laboratory of this site? The laboratory is here. And where is the laboratory? It is a part of godown, and there is a small testing machine, hand operated. Again, it is not giving the proper results. So we want to spend 1.5 lakh throughout the project. And once we have a good proper machine, which will cost about 3 to 5 lakh rupees, that will last at least for 5 to 7 years or more than 7 years. So during my MTech project, I have done the analysis of one of the part was analysis. What was the cost of this concrete lab equipment? So I have taken the specification of metro project in Mumbai. All equipment in the laboratory were costing 23 lakhs. Of course, they have specified some hammer and UPV test also. Total concrete cost was concrete quantity was 4 lakh. So lab equipment was coming 6 rupees per cubic meter. And if you consider that their average concrete cost was 6350, so lab equipment cost was 0.01% of concrete cost. But we never give attention to this part. According to me, any site, whether it is a site mixed concrete or MC concrete, one must have bare minimum testing facility. If we are producing the concrete at site, sieve analysis, minimum sieves, 4 to 5 sieves are required. Find the specific gravity by pycnometer, weigh balance, hot plate, oven, or maybe microwave to find the moisture absorption. Find the silt content, minimum cube mold, 18 cube mold, minimum 18 cube mold, slump cone set, that is the most, then only we can have proper quality control. So whenever we say we are going in the jet age, we are having a very good concrete production, we are constructing very good structures, but we should equally be cautious about this development of small site laboratories at site. Now, whenever we are producing any concrete structure which will last for 100 plus years, all points like material, mix design, batching, mixing, transporting, all steps of concrete making up to curing are important. Even though we procure ready-mix concrete, we can eliminate only first 4 or 5 steps. But placing concrete, compaction concrete, curing concrete, finishing and curing, this has to be done at site. So it is not that RMC is there, so magic is there, so our structure is good. No, it is not like that. RMC can supply very good concrete, but we can spoil that concrete if we place it improperly. We don't compact it properly. If we don't cure it properly. So good construction, any durable structure is only durable only when all steps are taken care in the process. So otherwise, this is a typical scenario of slabs where we feel many slabs are leaking during curing period itself. This is purely because of the shrinkage crack, nothing to do with concrete properties or cement properties. It is a purely lack of curing, or I will say rather lack of early curing. Just before coming to end, I want to show you how it based. Suppose this is one of the project of road project. So what we are doing, we are curing this concrete with plastic sheets. Even we are doing this for buildings also. Now how it helps? Just see the video, you'll understand. Whenever we place this concrete sheet on the top of the concrete slab, sorry, plastic sheets on the top of concrete slab, you can see what is happening. Whatever is evaporation loss is trying to occur from concrete, that vapor will get condensed beneath the plastic sheet, and there will be droplets of water below plastic sheet in between concrete surface and plastic sheet. You can see here paver is under operation over here, so we have covered the plastic sheet. So humidity between concrete surface and plastic sheet will be almost 90% plus, and whenever there is a 90+% humidity, curing is not required. Absolutely zero curing is required. That's why this one of our earlier project where I was showing this. This mass foundation was not cured with water for 7 days, but still strength and there was no crack. So everything was proper. You can see here, first 4 plastic sheet and thermocol sheets are on the top, and no water curing. Sides are intact. And what is the benefit? Well, you can see the last slide. Absolutely, there is no evaporation loss from the concrete surface. You can see here. You can see droplets of water between. So this is the indirect curing. This is indirect curing and very effective curing to reduce the shrinkage cracks. Of course, in one of the project I can show you, this is a sprinklers are installed. One road project. This is again the effective system with the least manpower and with the 10% of the water. This is a simple arrangement of about, I think they have laid about 1 kilometer pipeline with the nozzles. I can show you the on-off system for these nozzles. So only two people were controlling, one at the pumping point and one at the opening and closing of this nozzle. Otherwise, you can just imagine making this concrete wet by tankers, how much time and how much water will be required. So this is how we can use this system. These are the nozzles. So here red one is the on-off switch. So whether this sprinkler is to operate or not, so that can be turned off like a normal water clock. Even vertical members, in one of the small bungalow also we are now starting, all columns we are going to cure with plastic sheet. So vertical member is also possible. We have to wrap the plastic sheet and avoid the evaporation losses. Even in Mumbai, you must have visited and seen this. All metro piers, viaduct piers, they are properly cured by this something about 20-kilometer height pier. You can't imagine such curing of such a high pier by normal water spray. Simple water pipe is laid on the top, connected to the water tank and a pump at the bottom, and it can cure the concrete for 14 days or 7 days as per required time. So this is how effective systems which can be done once we desire. See, there should be desire to do a good work, then it can be done. And before last slide, I just we have some last 5 minutes. RMC supply acceptance criteria. See, I always believe in transparency in business. Suppose one is a purchaser and one is a supplier. They must have all transparent contract. So always I will say specification and requirement should be properly shared, transparently shared. Sometimes you may require stressing time requirement on 7 days M35. Be specific and be clear that I want particular strength at particular age, particular grade of concrete, what material we want to that in the concrete, whether we want flash based concrete, GG based concrete, everything should be clearly specified to the supplier by the purchaser. So I will always say be transparent enough and then specify your requirement. Then approve the mix design of the supplier by conducting concrete trials. Don't see, that is the reason I always say keep plan concreting well in advance. See, whenever we are taking a risk of such a high grade concrete, we cannot do like normal concrete. We have to take a lot of efforts to plan in well in advance and do the concrete trials and the laboratory. At least 7 days results we should get satisfactory. Then only we can order the concrete from the supplier. Sampling is a big problem. RMC code is there for sampling. Code also specifies we should take the samples from the in between 1/3 of the transit mixer, but never followed at the site. See, all these codes, everything, whenever there is a failure, everybody comes and point out, no, you have not taken the sample properly. So I will suggest be specific and specify the methodology of sampling also properly at the time of doing the contract. Curing of specimen, very important aspect. Who will do the curing at site, or whether plant or manufacturer will take it to the plant? Because if you don't cure in the initial stage of concrete, say first couple of days, then we'll not get the strength. Then testing with the proper equipment. I think there was one lecture also on compression testing machine. So you must have seen how the difference is there if we don't test the cube properly. Lay down the acceptance criteria transparently. Whether we want FCK plus 3 as per code, or if you are happy with the FCK, whatever is there, be specific and specifies. All these things should be shared before starting the work, and most important is investigation in case of failure. Very, very important. All issues will start because taking core from structure, doing hammer test is not a proper thing, because again NDT has its own limitations. We can't get 100% accurate result, so NDT should be as far as possible avoided. Earlier, it is NDT is supposed to be the tool for assessment of concrete health, which are old, but nowadays all these NDT are being performed on the new structures. So NDT, what should be done? Everything should be properly planned. And whenever transit mixer or concrete is supplied at the plant, this is a batch sheet supplied along with the transit mixer. One must visit the plant at random, check the concrete quality after the batching, check this batching sheet, and engineer at site should check each and every point in this batch sheet before accepting the material or before doing the material. So this is how we must, vigilant. I will not say vigilant. Take precaution in proper quality control. Then workability test. Nowadays, this slump test is absolute now. So even code says slump can be suitable only if it is a low slump. We have to take the compaction factor. If it is a flow, it is a flow test. So this is a flow test recommended in the IS code. So this is how you get the flow. Here you can see. Advantage of this flow test is that we get the idea whether concrete is segregating or not. You can see in the central picture, you can see a good concrete, whereas in this concrete you can see there is a segregation and bleeding is happening in this. Of course, sometimes you see flow taken on simple plywood with the clone. This is not. This is actually a slump flow test. It is not. It is for the self-compacting concrete. Yes, I want to show you one. See, if it is a good concrete, you can see this is a self-compacting concrete. You will not see any segregation. It is like a M60 grade of concrete, self-compacting concrete. So all these testing should be available at the site. If you are doing a road concrete, compaction factor is the right test. Slump test is not the proper test. So everything should be done as per code. So I just finish in time. And now, as I said, last 5 minutes, we can have some discussion. You can note down my mail ID, my WhatsApp number also. If you have anything, you are always welcome to interact with me on the WhatsApp. At least at the end of the day, I always try to make sure that I read all messages. You can give the reference and definitely interact with this. Now, if any questions are there, definitely we can take up the questions. Sir, you can take a, shall I switch off the screen?
Yes. Hello. If any participant have any question, please ask to sir.
I think, sir, your mic is on mute.
Yes. Hello. Participants should be requested to ask the question. Hello. Sir. I think that nobody has any question. So let me conclude that the today's third session conducted by Mr. Mahesh Tendolkar sir on the latest trend in concrete technology, such a wonderful information sharers which are helpful to improve the quality and the quality assurance of a concrete. Thanks a lot on the behalf of Yeshwantrao Bhosle Polytechnic Sound Body. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.